If you've ever sat at your desk for hours, done a huge amount of work, and still gone to bed feeling like you got absolutely nowhere, this video is for you. The question I get asked more than almost any other is some version of, why does it feel like I'm constantly working, but I'm not actually moving forward? I want to answer this properly today because I think the standard answers, work on it every day, break it into small chunks, manage your time better, totally miss the point. I'm Dr Gina Holmes. I work with people who are doing doctorates, PhDs, Ds, DClins, professional doctorates as well. And I help those people to get through their doctorate and write their thesis more quickly with less stress. Not by doing those things, working out every day and managing your time better, although those are important, but actually by finding ways to manage that information and change your mindset so that you know what to do next, and that makes it easier for you to work. The problem almost never comes down to effort. The people I work with are some of the hardest working people that I know. They're managing careers, they're caring for families, holding up entire departments, and somehow still trying to carve out hours for their research. Effort is not the issue. The issue is orientation, and those are two completely different things. Here's what I mean. Imagine that you're dropped into a city that you've never visited before. No map, no phone signal, no landmarks that you recognise. You can walk as fast as you like. You can be incredibly determined. You can put in enormous effort, but without knowing where you are, without being able to read the landscape, all of that effort might just take you further from where you need to be, assuming you know what that is in the first place. Doctoral research works exactly the same way. You read constantly, you collect data, you write thousands of words, attend every single seminar, and still you cannot be making genuine progress, because progress isn't activity. Progress is movement with direction. And orientation means knowing where you are within the intellectual landscape of your thesis. It means knowing what your current chapter is supposed to do, not just what it's supposed to contain. And it means understanding why the work that you're doing right now matters to the overall argument that you're building. Let me make it practical, because this is where it gets useful for you. Every chapter in your doctoral thesis has a function, not just a topic, a function, a job it exists to do within the overall intellectual structure of the work. Your lit review isn't just a summary of what's been written in your field. Its job is to establish your intellectual territory. It's saying, here's the conversation that exists, here's what's been argued, here's what the gap is, and here's why my research fills it. We'll talk about gaps in another video. I have views, but that's a starting point. Your methodology chapter, normally chapter 3, isn't just a description of what you did. Its job is to establish legitimacy. It's making the case that the way you've approached the problem is defensible, coherent, and appropriate to your research question. Not anyone else's, not what everyone else in the field has done, yours and your approaches. Your findings chapter isn't just data. Its job is to establish evidence. Your discussion isn't just reflection, it establishes meaning. And your conclusion establishes your contribution. They each have a relevant point. Each chapter is an intellectual move. And when you don't know what move you're making, you can't know whether you're making it well. But here's what frustrates me. This isn't complicated. It also is very rarely taught. Most doctoral students are taught procedures, how to format a reference list, how to write a lit review in terms of how long it should be and what it should include, and how to structure a methodology chapter according to the discipline's conventions. They're very rarely taught the intellectual architecture that those procedures serve. And the result is exactly what has been described in this question. Constant activity, constant effort, and a persistent gnawing sense that something is missing. Somehow you're doing it wrong, even though you can't identify what wrong actually looks like. You're not doing it wrong. You just haven't got the map. So here's what I want you to do after you finish watching this. Open whatever you're currently working on, your chapter draft, your notes, wherever you are in your thesis right now, and ask yourself this one question. What is the intellectual job of what I'm writing right now? Not what it's about, not how long does it need to be. What job does it exist to do within the overall argument that you're building? If you can answer that clearly, you're oriented, keep going. If you can't, if the question feels confusing or you find yourself describing content rather than function, that's the most valuable piece of information you can have, because now you know exactly what to work on. Understanding the job is the prerequisite to doing it well. And once you have that, the work starts to feel different, not necessarily easier. A doctorate involves hard thinking. Can't make that softer. But it makes it clearer, more purposeful, less like wandering and more like building from a plan. So come and tell me in the comments, what chapter are you working on right now and what's the job it's supposed to be doing? Even if you're not sure of the answer, and especially if you're not sure, that's exactly where that conversation needs to start. If this resonated, I'd love you to join us in the Doctoral Success Circle. It's a community built around exactly this kind of thinking. The link is in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.